All right, folks. Today, we're diving into the Premier League and taking a look at where each team needs to strengthen their squad for the upcoming season. Now, I'm not a sports analyst, but I can give you my take on this. So let's get into it. First up, we've got Arsenal. They need a central midfielder, and I think they've got their eye on Declan Rice. Now, Rice had a tough season last year, playing almost every minute, and it showed in his performance at the World Cup. I mean, his body was literally worked to the bone. So, Arsenal needs to bring in some reinforcements to give Rice a breather and keep him fresh. They've got Christian Norgard, but he didn't get much of a chance last season, so an extra midfielder would be a smart move. Moving on to Aston Villa, they've been on a roll lately, finishing in the top 7 for the past 4 seasons and winning the Europa League. But they need more depth, especially at left back. They might lose Lucas Digne to Paris Saint-Germain, so they're looking at Pervis Estupiñán from Milan. Ian Maatsen is a solid player, but he can't play every week, so an extra left back would be beneficial. Bournemouth is next on our list. Adam Smith is a legend, but he's getting older, so he needs some help. Max Aarons and Julian Araujo were meant to be his replacements, but things didn't work out. So, Bournemouth needs a statement signing at right back to give Smith a rest. Now, Brentford, they've already addressed some weaknesses, but they could use an upgrade at left back. Rico Henry has had his fair share of injuries and errors, so bringing in someone new would be a smart move. It would also free up Keane Lewis-Potter to play further forward. Brighton is another team that needs some midfield support. They got a thin squad in the middle of the park, and with James Milner and Pascal Gross getting older, they need some fresh legs. Carlos Baliba and Yassine Ayari are linked with moves, but even if they stay, Brighton could benefit from another midfielder. Moving on to Chelsea, they've spent big this summer, but they still have some problem positions. A goalkeeper is the most urgent need, and Robert Sanchez hasn't been reliable. Mike Penders has arrived, but he's young, and Xabi Alonso doesn't want to worry about his goalkeeper. So a new keeper is a must. Coventry is a team with a lot of unknowns, but their biggest question mark is their goalkeeper. They want to keep Carl Rushworth, but it's not looking likely. Without a reliable keeper, they've got a big hole to fill. Crystal Palace, they've got a solid back 3, but they need more depth at center back. Losing Mark Gahey to Manchester City affected their win rate, so they need to bring in another center back. If Maxence Lacroix leaves, their need becomes even more apparent. Everton, well, they've got a problem at right back. Seamus Coleman and Nathan Patterson are gone, and Jake O'Brien is their only recognized right back. It's a tough position to fill, and they've been struggling with it for a while. Fulham needs more goal-scoring options. Raul Jimenez and Harry Wilson left, and no one else scored more than 4 league goals last season. They need at least 2 new faces to boost their attack. Hull City needs some quality in attack. Ollie McBurney is a good player, but he needs support. They've sold Kyle Joseph and haven't re-signed Joe Gelhardt, so they're light in attack. Ipswich Town, they've got a solid defense with Issa Diop and Dara O'Shea, but they need more firepower up front. George Hurst and Emerson haven't been consistent goal scorers, so bringing in Daizen Maeda would be a smart move. Leeds United, they've got a problem with their goalkeepers. Lucas Perry didn't live up to expectations, and Carl Darlow left for Manchester United. Their remaining options are underwhelming, so they need another keeper. Liverpool, they need a dynamic wide attacker. Salah had an underwhelming season, and they want someone like Bradley Barcola to provide goals and creativity. Andoni Iraola has a good track record with these types of players. Manchester City, they've signed Elliot Anderson, but they could use another option on the flanks. They lacked strength and depth last season, and Antoine Semenyo struggled, so an extra winger would be beneficial. Manchester United, they've brought in Andres Santos and Yuri Tielemans, which is a good start. But they need more, especially an athletic, ball-winning midfielder. Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount are more like number 10s, so they need to bring in someone to fill that gap. Newcastle United, they need a fullback for each flank or someone versatile. Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall are solid, but they lack depth with some injuries. Dan Burn can fill in, but it's not ideal. Nottingham Forest, they need reinforcements at center back. Their coach, Glasner, likes a back 3, so bringing in a defender with experience in that formation would be a smart move. Tottenham Hotspur, they need at least one winger. They got some options, but they're not on the preseason tour, and they lack consistent output on the left. They need to bring in someone to boost their attack. Sunderland, they've been quieter in the transfer market, but they need more depth. With a first European campaign in a long time, they could use some reinforcements across the board, especially in terms of creativity.